Okay, question. Why is Queen welcoming calamities? Discuss the relevance of this principle for personal practice and preaching of Krishna consciousness. Give reference to Srimad Bhagavatam 1.8.25 verse and purport, and at least 3 appropriate Bhakti Shastri verses in your response.
So Queen Kunti, Makakaroti Vachalam, Pangalangai Degarim, Yati Pataman Monday, Seguro de Dharnam, Parmanandamara, Sri Chaitanya Ishwar, Hari Om Tat Sat. Queen Kunti was praying that to Krishna.
So Queen Kunti was praying to Krishna
that by calamities coming to me,
that by calamities coming to me,
I'm able to see a lotus feet,
if I'm able to see your lotus feet,
and let the calamities come again and again.
let the calamities come again and again.
Because by seeing you,
Because by seeing you,
I can get liberation.
I can get liberation.
Now, in this prayer,
Now, in this prayer,
Queen Kunti was expressing
Queen Kunti was expressing
her desire to see Lord Krishna again and again.
her desire to see Lord Krishna again and again.
Normally, devotees, the Sakam Bhaktas, devotees with desire,
Normally, Sakam Bhaktas, devotees with desires,
they pray the Lord to get their material desires
fulfilled, to get their material desires
given.
fulfilled.
And they don't want to suffer.
And they don't want to suffer.
But here, Queen Kunti is expressing that
Queen Kunti is expressing that
for her, that she appreciates seeing Krishna so much that if the price for that is suffering, let suffering come.
That she appreciates seeing Krishna so much that the price for that suffering, let the suffering come.
So we can see in our own personal lives, we should be very committed.
So we should see in our own personal lives, we should be very committed
to serving Krishna.
To serving Krishna.
In the nectar of devotion,
in the nectar of devotion,
it describes that we should
it describes that we should
rather stay in some hellish condition.
Rather, we should stay in some hellish condition,
in some iron place,
or in some iron place,
rather than associate with bad devotees.
Rather than associate
with materialists.
Rather than associate with the materialist.
And in another verse in the Katyayana Samhita,
in another verse in the Katyayani Samhita,
it's better to stay in a cage of iron or in a blazing fire.
It's mentioned that it's better to stay in a cage of iron or in a blazing fire
rather live with non-devotees.
Rather than living with non-devotees, to live with non-devotees.
Or through against the worship of Lord Krishna.
Who are against the worship of Lord Krishna.
In the Vishnu Rahasya,
in the Vishnu Rahasya,
if one should prefer to embrace a snake, a tiger, or an alligator.
It's mentioned that one should prefer to embrace a snake, a tiger, or an alligator.
Rather and associate with persons
rather to associate with persons
who are thinking that the devas
who are thinking that the devas
are equal or independent of Krishna.
are, are equal or independent of Krishna.
And thus, these people are impelled by material desire.
Thus, because these people are compelled by material desires.
So, in other words, better to accept suffering
In other words, better to accept sufferings
rather than things which are against devotional service.
rather than things which are against devotional service.
And we see that the devotees will do anything to please Lord Chaitanya.
So, and we see that devotees, they can do anything to please Lord Chaitanya.
Like when Krishna was, Narada Muni was approaching people, Krishna said he had a headache.
So, when Narad Muni was approaching people, when Krishna said that he had a headache,
And if the dust of a devotee
that he needs the dust of the devotees
to cure his headache.
to cure his headache.
And then Narada Muni went to the people, Brahmins, Krishna's wife,
Narad Muni went to different people, Brahmins, Krishna's wives,
and I really know how can I give my what do I
then
what
everybody
dust?
and everybody said, "No, how can I give my food
I'll
dust?
go to hell.
I'll go to hell."
But when he went to the gopis,
But when he went to the gopis,
they immediately said, take dust.
immediately they said, take
Krishna has a headache.
take the dust. Krishna has a headache.
But aren't you worried you go to hell?
But aren't you worried to go to hell?
Oh, that's all right. Krishna's headache is cured first.
Oh, that's all right. Let Krishna's headache cured first.
So the pure devotees are willing to accept difficulty
So the pure devotees, they're willing to accept difficulties
in order to please Krishna.
in order to please Krishna.
So we can see that Kunti Devi,
So we can see that Kunti Devi,
she was in that mood.
she was in that mood.
We should be in that mood also.
We should be in that mood also.
That to please Krishna, to undertake any difficulty.
That to please Krishna, we should undertake any difficulties.
Our book distributors, they distribute books. Sometimes it's hot, sometimes it's cold.
So our book distributors, when they distribute books, sometimes it is hot, sometimes it's cold.
But they accept all these tribulations.
But they accept all these tribulations
To please Krishna.
to please Krishna.
So this is a very important aspect.
So this is a very important aspect.
What is our priority?
What is our priority?
Do we want to have a comfortable life, or we want to please Krishna?
Or if we want to have a comfortable life, or if we want to please Krishna.
What's this verse? In the 10th canto,
In the 10th canto,
14th chapter,
14th chapter,
the devotee is awaiting for the mercy of Krishna.
the devotees are waiting for the mercy. The devotees are waiting for the mercy of Krishna,
And for that they may suffer various tribulations.
for that they may suffer various tribulations.
But I still want the mercy of Krishna.
What's that?
They still want the mercy of Krishna.
And still want the mercy of Krishna.
Now this is the mood of a pure devotee.
So this is the mood of a pure devotee.
And we should have this kind of attitude.
And we should have this kind of attitude.
In the material world,
In the material world,
around it, we're suffering our previous karmas.
We are suffering due to our previous karmas.
Sometimes we'll enjoy, sometimes we'll suffer.
Sometimes we will enjoy, sometimes we will suffer.
But the devotee
But the devotee
can tolerate anything
can tolerate anything
based, they want to get the mercy of Krishna.
ba-
Based on getting the mercy of Krishna.
based on getting the mercy of Krishna.
So sometimes devotees, how they expect by being a devotee, I'll have no suffering.
What's the Gomesh? I couldn't hear.
Sometimes devotees expect
Sometimes the devotees expect
that by being a devotee,
just by being a devotee,
I'll have no suffering.
I'll have no suffering.
But it's Kunti Devi,
But Kunti Devi,
they say suffering allows us to see you, let there be suffering.
so she says that if I see you, let there be suffering.
If questions, if something is required to see you, and I prefer suffering.
If suffering is required to see you, then I prefer suffering.
So being in this material world,
So being in this material world,
we're bound to suffer,
we are bound to suffer,
bound to enjoy.
bound to enjoy.
But the devotee doesn't care for suffering or enjoying.
But the devotee doesn't care for suffering or enjoying.
They want simply to serve Krishna.
They want simply to serve Krishna.
Haribol.
Haribol.
So, and of course, it says that if we understand in Bhagavad Gita,
Of course, it is said that if you understand the Bhagavad Gita,
chapter 4, verse 9,
chapter 4, verse 9,
Chandrakam Machanaidyam Evan Yoleti Tattata Tattam Deham Purajayati Mameti Sajana. And one understands
that if one understands
like Krishna's birth and activity
that Krishna's birth and activities
are transcendental.
are transcendental,
And at the time of death,
then at the time of death,
when they leave their body,
when they leave the body,
they go back to Krishna.
they will go back to Krishna.
So actually remembering Krishna is the path of liberation.
Actually, remembering Krishna is the path for liberation.
Krishna in the Eighth Upanishad, chapter Ravancha 14, it states
In Ishopanishad, Mantra 14, it states
that Krishna, the Supreme Personality of God,
Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead,
not different from his name,
is not different from his name,
form,
form,
qualities, and pastime.
qualities, and pastimes.
And if one can remember these,
And if one can remember this,
then at the time of death,
at the time of death,
they'll go back to Godhead.
can go back to Godhead.
So it's very important
So it's very important
to always be a sight of Krishna or his name, pastimes, qualities, etc.
to always remembering Krishna, his name, qualities,
Name,
qualities,
qualities,
pastime, etc.,
which are not different from him.
which are not different from him.
So Maharaj Yudhishthira
So Maharaj Yudhishthira,
is very attached to Krishna.
he was very attached to Krishna.
Although when he said all these wonderful prayers,
Although Kunti Devi said all these wonderful prayers,
when Yudhishthira, he lovingly entreated the Lord to delay his departure a little bit.
so he lovingly
Entreated the Lord
entreated the Lord
to delay his departure.
to delay his departure.
So that loving mood of Yudhishthira
So that loving mood of Yudhishthira
had obliged the Lord.
had obliged the Lord.
Obliged.
Obliged the Lord.
The Lord is independent,
The Lord is independent.
but he chooses be controlled by love.
but he chooses to be controlled by love.
I even scared Maharaj. He was treating everybody in his kingdom as like his own children.
So Yudhishthira Maharaj, he was treating everybody in his kingdom like his children.
Even not only the human beings, but all the animals,
You-
all other residents of his kingdom were
You-
dear to him.
Not only the human beings, even the animals and the other residents of his kingdoms were very dear to him.
The birds, the reptiles,
The birds, the reptiles,
everything.
everything.
So in that way we can see how he was so kind
So in that way, we can see how he was so kind
to all of the entities.
to all living entities.